I want to show you some of the main groups that are involved in Chicago over the weekend. There was 99% solidarity. 99% solidarity is excited to participate in the nonviolent direct actions in Chicago. We've secured buses to bring these people from several U.S. cities. Then there's also the 99% Spring, shut down NATO's war and poverty agenda. Then, of course, we have to have the Communist Party USA protest NATO summit in Chicago. International Socialist Organization, not to be confused with the Communists, the ISO contingent, protest the NATO war makers. Boy, they're all sounding alike, aren't they? STS, the Students for a Democratic Society, not to be confused with the Socialist or the Communist. They're getting ready for the protest on May 20th. The Socialist Party USA, to be confused with everybody else. They were going to be in Chicago. Who else? Code Pink. Remember them? Yeah. You got to love these guys. It's the same 60s radicals that were over in the Middle East. In fact, whoa, wait a minute. During the Arab Spring, they were there. Then there's the International Answer Coalition, to be confused with the communists. And, of course, we know the anarchists and the Black Bloc are there. The media's tendency is to, of course, say, oh, it's just a couple hundred bad eggs in a crowd. Everybody else is normal. No, they're not. It's a big mistake. A big mistake to think these people are normal, and it is a big mistake to think they're just like you. They just want their end of corruption. No, they don't. If you look at the list, anything seem familiar? The thing that should stand out at you is they're all the radical leftist ideologues from the 1960s. The same violent, radical leftist tactics from the 1960s as well. Who else is protesting NATO? Well, lo and behold, terrorist Bill Ayers.
Yeah, we would like to see an end to NATO, and we would like to see in every country, every member country of NATO, there's a popular movement to ask its government to leave NATO. Yes. We want NATO disbanded.
Thank goodness.
NATO is an instrument of war.
Yeah, it only won World War II, instrument of war. Bill Ayers, you incredible dope. He is, of course, from the Weather Underground, which spawned SDS. He's going around to students and student groups organizing. Here he is at the University of Oregon, where he is filling their head full of this crap.
I don't think there's any question, and I don't think any of you would question, that the American empire is in decline, that economically and politically, and in some ways culturally, we are in decline. And yet, the United States remains the most powerful, weaponized military system the earth has ever known. That's a treacherous combination, a declining economic power and an expanding military power. And we are going to have to find ways to reimagine what it means to live in this, in this world. And here we are, 4% of the world's population, 4.5% of the world's population, consuming vast amounts of natural resources, consuming vast amounts of finished goods. And no politician will say that the empire is declining and that the game is over. It's over. Now what? Another world is definitely coming, but that doesn't mean it's going to be a better world. And it's our responsibility to jump in.
Exactly right, America. He is exactly right. Everything he just said is absolutely true. A new world is coming, but that doesn't mean a better world. It is our responsibility to jump in. If you don't, this guy will. What he's saying is true. But what the world looks like tomorrow is up to you. Here's a guy who says he's not sorry for his past actions. In fact, he wished he would have done more violence. He was targeting the police in the 1960s. Police were the target over the weekend. SEIU, radical Stephen Lerner recently told a college class that they must all now vow to be arrested in the next 12 months. He was actually proud of his son's arrest.
An important event in my life because my oldest son got arrested for his first time. And it was a very big event. We're joking now that the leftist bar mitzvah is when your kid gets arrested for the first time. And he then, just a great side story, at our local elementary school, my youngest son, they said during story time, do you have anything to share? And he said, yes, my brother went to jail last night. And the teacher said, oh, that's okay. It happens to all of us. It will get worked out. And my youngest son said, we're so proud. And she said, what? He said, he's just like that man we've been studying who is a doctor and a king at the same time. And the key thing I want to say is, when I come back next year, or whenever I come back, everybody's got to be willing to raise a hand and say, I've either been arrested or I'm going to be arrested. Because what I would end with, if we are not willing to go to jail, if we are not willing to take that risk, if we are not willing to put our bodies on the line, if we are not willing to stand up to folks who are literally plundering and raping the earth while enriching themselves, then it's shame on us, and that's the world we'll be keeping.
Okay, what he said about 80
children and grandchildren.
Yeah, whatever. About 80% of what he said. If you're not willing to put yourself in the path of trouble to keep people who want to do harm and destroy, shame on us. Lerner unleashed the same tactics more than 25 years ago with his Justice for Janitors campaign. They want to force confrontation with the police and regular citizens. Why should we expect anything different this time around? Violence was the MO then, it is the MO today. This is not a couple of bad eggs. This is what radical leftists do, and they are highly financed and also highly organized. Do not dismiss them. Bill Ayers bombed the U.S. Capitol building, the State Department. He set off a bomb in the Pentagon. Many suspect he is also involved in the bombing of the San Francisco Police Department, which killed this officer. But Ayers hasn't been charged. Couldn't have been him. His bombs were the peaceful kind of bombs, I gather. Ayers, who was running around blowing stuff up, while his dad, who is also a radical leftist, is the one who gave Barack Obama his first big career break and mentored him as a young professional in Chicago. Let me just say, Stephen Lerner, he goes on here, just a minute ago, he was talking about how his son said, isn't it great? We're so proud of him. If you are raised by radical leftist communists, you become one. Do you know anybody who was raised by radical leftist communists? Look, people can say nonviolent action all they want, but we know the history of the groups involved. The precedent for leftist violence doesn't rest in just the 1960s alone. It goes much, much further back than that. We showed you before, the 1930s, how the unions forcibly shut down the ports of San Francisco. It's the same violent radicals today. Unions, socialists, anarchists, and communists. In a minute, I'm going to show you, I'm going to take you back past this one. It's over and over and over again. Expect the same results. The mainstream media won't report it. But we are, and I'm doing it so you will let people know exactly what's coming. You have to be the voice of record. Please write down everything that you see. There will be no history of this. You can't write a history book based on a vacuum of information.